Hi everyone here and around the world. 5 weeks ago, on July 21st, 2025, scientists monitoring the Hubble Space Telescope photographed this blue glowing object amid star tracks about 3.8 astronomical units away from Earth. 1 astronomical unit is the distance from Earth to our Sun, about 93 million miles. Scientists call the blue glowing object 3I Atlas. And scientists report, quote, "It's the third and fastest interstellar object ever recorded by humans from Earth, moving at the astonishing speed of 130,000 to 35,000 miles per hour. And at that speed, the object could travel between Los Angeles and New York City in 2 minutes. Here, 3I Atlas is depicted as coming straight for Earth on the far right this past July 1st, 2025. It is only the third interstellar object ever seen by Earth scientists, after the first interstellar object, Omuamua, far left, passed Earth in 2017 while mysteriously accelerating its speed with no evidence of gases released from it. So what caused acceleration of Oumuamua to 196,200 miles an hour as it passed its closest point to our Sun? And then, 2 years later in 2019 came 2I-21 Borisov, the second interstellar object. And now, since July 1st, 2025, has come the rapidly moving, blue glowing 3I Atlas, flying toward Mars, Jupiter, Venus, and Earth into our solar system as if on purpose. And last week, on August 21st, 2025, I talked with nuclear physicist John Brandenburg, PhD, and author of this 2015 book, Death on Mars, The Discovery of a Planetary Nuclear Massacre, after Dr. Brandenburg posted these words, quote, "Dear friends, a prediction. 3I Atlas, like Oumuamua, will display anomalous acceleration without gas emission changing its trajectory. This is gravity modification as demonstrated in UFO sightings and can be explained by my gem unification theory, which predicts the value of G, which is gravity." And on Sunday morning, August 24th, 2025, I did a YouTube search for, quote, 3I Atlas connection, anomalous acceleration. And that was because of the discussion with Dr. Brandenburg. And up came Elon Musk wearing what looked like an elegant silk shirt, an elegant silk tie, and an elegant suit jacket. His face and voice were somber, and his words implied that something is about to happen this fall of 2025 that could seriously impact humans on Earth, and was linked to this Elon Musk YouTube post on Saturday, August 23rd, 2025, quote, 3I Atlas just turned back and confirms what we all feared, close quote. And I ask, but who feared what? And what does turning back mean? Turning back away to wherever the interstellar object had come from, or turning back toward Earth? I watched the serious Elon Musk video of him talking to the camera as if live for several minutes. He was so serious about events that could affect all humans. After Elon Musk talked for several minutes, it suddenly just stopped, and the entire website seemed to disappear from my screen. I did more Elon Musk searches, but could not find any current link to what I had just been watching and was so serious and sober. I wonder if any of you here tonight at the Earthfiles YouTube channel saw that well-dressed, serious-voiced Elon Musk broadcast on Sunday morning, August 24th, 2025. If you did see it, please message or email me directly. My email is earthfiles@earthfiles.com. I also phoned physicist and Mars investigator Dr. John Brandenburg to ask if he saw the very serious Elon Musk video that might have had only one broadcast that I saw and then it was gone. Dr. Brandenburg could not find the somber Elon Musk video either. But I did find this image of 3-eye Atlas that might, quote, be emitting its own light. Could 3-eye Atlas be emitting its own light? And scientists have been posing that question. Here now, I would like to share some of my conversation with Dr. Brandenburg on Sunday, August 24th, 2024, about what could be alarming Elon Musk now.
Well, I believe that the government is going through a secret crisis right now, and it's becoming more serious as 3I moves in closer towards the inner solar system and Earth. And he could have put it up and then was either forced to take it down, or they could have said, Elon, you want to do business with us? You got to play ball.
John, can you tell me what you think is the secret crisis?
The secret crisis is that we initially had Omuamua, the first interstellar object, came in 2017, and that came from deep space, another star system, dove down into the solar system. The plane of the solar system is called the ecliptic. All the planets move in the same plane around the sun, and then popped out near the Earth and got a good close encounter of the Earth, and it came out of the sun. So we couldn't see it till it had actually passed the Earth. And it behaved, they first said it's a comet, and comets put out gases and a tail. This put out no comet, no tail, no gases, and it sped up as it left the solar system. We spotted it, and it was heading away from us, and it sped up, which they are not supposed to do unless they emit a bunch of gas like a rocket engine. This one did not. It sped up without any gas. So this looked like a reconnaissance mission. We're talking Oumuamua 2017. Since then, we've had what looked just like a regular deep space comet from our own solar system, and it came in. It displayed a lot of gases, normal for comets. It was an icy, dirty snowball, and it broke up near the sun. And that was all very normal and expected. It behaved just like we expected it to. And that was called Comet Borisov. Now we have 3-eye Atlas, and it's behaving like Oumuamua. It's not putting out gases like a comet. Its spectrum of light matches Oumuamua. It's coming in very fast, and it's unlike Borisov. This one, instead of going past Earth, is going to go very close approach to Mars. It will approach Mars 5 times closer than it did to the Earth. So it's coming in on the plane of the planets, which is itself highly improbable. It's passing Mars, and it's also going to go near Venus. It's basically also going to do is pass by Jupiter. Mars and Jupiter are the two most interesting planets in the solar system besides Earth. And Mars apparently is its special focus, and of course, we know we have strong evidence for a thermonuclear holocaust on Mars, and that evidence can be seen from a very large distance. Every time Mars rotates, it rotates gamma ray hotspots into view from very sensitive sensors, and we can tell that Mars has these hotspots of gamma rays. So this thing is now closing in on Mars, and when it does, the sun will be between Earth and Mars, so we won't be able to watch what it does. And so this is all looks absolutely, completely improbable. The fact that it's coming in on the plane of the orbits of the planets, it's going to pass by Mars, Jupiter, Venus, And when it passes by Mars and is actually closest to the sun on its orbit, it's going to have the sun between the Earth and itself, so we can't watch it. And this all looks like it is planned. You've got to remember, I come from a military intelligence background. I spent 10 years at nuclear weapons labs, and the rest of my career supporting defense and the agency's intelligence. I worked in Washington, D.C. for 15 years and with the Pentagon and the agency's headquarters many times. So I look at problems differently than somebody in academia.
John, where is the phrase coming from that you used about this being a secret crisis for the government?
I was at Sandia National Labs in Albuquerque, nuclear weapons lab, working on directed energy weapons during the Cold War, and we went through a secret crisis. There was a crisis called Able Archer 83. You can look it up on Wikipedia. It's no longer classified, but at the time, we came as close to a nuclear war as we'd ever been since the Cuban Missile Crisis. And it was because we were staging a military exercise in NATO, and it was a very elaborate exercise, and the Russians were starting to lose the Cold War. They felt cornered, and they decided that this war exercise by NATO was a Trojan horse, that we were going to attack them during the exercise. So they put their nuclear forces on alert. We saw that, put our own nuclear forces on alert. I'm working at Kirtland Air Force Base, which is the outer fence of Sandia Labs. Suddenly you see all this military equipment being moved around. The rumors were that we were going through a big crisis, but it was classified. We weren't supposed to talk about it outside the lab. Morale at the lab collapsed.
And 2 days ago, on August 25th, 2025, I received more from Dr. Brandenburg. Quote, Linda, I have checked Avi Loeb's calculations of the radiated excess power from 3I Atlas. He gets about 10 gigawatts, enough to light a medium-sized city, and then I get about 2 gigawatts in my calculations. So we're in the same ballpark, with the most important number being the received solar power, which is only 1/10 of a gigawatt. Not even close. It is radiating 20 times to 100 times more power than it is receiving from the sun. The object is radiating energy like it is a star, but it is much too small to do so by known natural physics. These can only mean that it must be artificially powered by a large nuclear plant, close quote. Dr. Brandenburg has posted his calculations that you can see at earthfiles.com/Brandenburg, and Ian Holling will post Dr. Brandenburg's link to his calculations in the chat. Astronomy Magazine also reported recently that, quote, the 3I Atlas comet should remain visible to ground-based telescopes through September 2025 before disappearing in the sun's glare, and it is expected to reappear to Earth in December 2025, this coming Christmas. Because interstellar visitors are so rare, space agencies are using every available instrument to study 3I Atlas before it leaves our solar system. Alongside Hubble, the James Webb Space Telescope, TESS, transiting exoplanet survey satellite, and the Neil Gehrels Swift Observatory are all set to observe the 3I Atlas comet in the coming months. Dr. Jewett said, quote, this latest interstellar tourist is one of a previously undetected population of objects bursting onto the scene that will gradually emerge. This is now possible because we have powerful sky survey capabilities that we didn't have before. We've crossed a new threshold, close quote. so many thresholds we are crossing, and we need to be introduced that we're not the only intelligence in this universe. And Ian, I wonder, did we get even one report from other people who might have seen the Elon Musk So Serious YouTube on this past Sunday morning, August 27th?
I think we have at least one person has seen this report, although people are dismissing it as an AI generated Elon Musk, that it's not genuine, and that's why we've not heard anything definitely from through any official channels.
Well, all of that silk, the silk tie, the silk shirt, everything didn't look like Elon Musk, but he talked as if something really serious was coming, and he sounded almost like he shouldn't be saying anything. And then for it, maybe that was the drama, maybe somebody, but who would have the ability to do something that was on for 15 or 20 minutes and then theatrically disappeared? Who would have that ability?
Well, some people are able to do this. This is what we've seen, is that AI and CGI are now becoming almost indistinguishable, and we get longer periods of it, which then enforces whether or not it's real or not. But there are certain tells that people can pick up on from the AI. It's still not perfect, but this can be produced by people who obviously have the capability to do this with the current state of AI generation, etc.
Did the one note that you saw, can you read it? Is it there? From what?
No, I'm sorry, it's all in the chat and it's going so quickly, but a lot of people did chime in with this. I think someone has said, or at least one person has said this. And by the way, if you're still in the chat, please repost what you remember seeing, and if that is your opinion, or if it is your opinion that it's a artificial intelligence, or if you think this is genuine.
No, I really did have a reaction as a human being watching another human being who seemed to be distraught, trying to cover it up. At one point, his voice broke. It was like, gee whiz, if this is real, then what is it that has so agitated Elon Musk to do this? But it wasn't anywhere else, and that made it very peculiar, and that's why I thought I would at least ask you guys if anybody else saw it.
Okay, well, we'll see what comes up from that, but at the moment, many of our audience are of the opinion that it's an AI produced forgery, that it's not genuine.
And what happens if they keep doing stuff like this, and then something really serious comes and everybody says it's AI, and the asteroid crashes onto the Earth? You know what I mean?
It's like wolf, isn't it?
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
right.
It's as I say, is one of the most important things that we have in this field, is we must be discerning, and discerning of all the sources of where information comes from. That's very important.
Well, this was a totally accurate report about what is happening with Dr. Brandenburg and others on the three coming in, and what is it, and why has there been concern, and there may be secret concern. All of that is legitimate, and so this is something to watch. Let's say I'm very interested to find out now what more is going to emerge. And meanwhile, you wonderful people, in this time of, it seems all the time it's getting more and more unpredictable and chaos, but at least in the agape style, agape hug to all fellow beings here tonight, and Ian, who does wonderful interface between England and here where we are in Albuquerque in New Mexico. What are some of the more interesting comments or questions that we have tonight, Ian?
Yeah, and just before we get to that, Linda, let me just say that this, the talk of the 3i Atlas as well, you're on the panel on Sasha Stone's YouTube channel, which goes out on Saturday, and that will be at the 12 o'clock noon Pacific time. And we'll post some links to that as we get them, and post them through the YouTube channel.
Right.
So people should watch that. And you also joined with John Brandenburg on that panel, I believe, as well.
All right. Well, then next weekend we can all be together in whatever we are surrounded by at all times, when matter itself can be so manipulated.
Yeah, and I think we're going to start posting the links to that channel for your Saturday panel as well in the chat and in the notes below this program. I think it's called Future Focus with Sasha Stone. We've got some questions from the audience tonight. Speculations Podcast says, I remember reading in one of Linda's I Strangeness books, an abductee talked about a planet heading towards our planet in the future. Could this be it? Do you remember speaking to any abductees about anything that would match what we're currently seeing with I3 Atlas 3I?
No, not really. An entire planet, mass, inertia, moving toward us without us having detected it. I don't know why some of those, I remember there were themes like that in some of the transcripts from people who had been abducted. And over the years, starting in September of 1979 for me, and to this day, it's 45 years, I have read so many transcripts. And sometimes the human mind is puzzled or doesn't understand what is going on. Other cases, they seem to be getting downloads as if there's telepathic thought in what would be whatever their language, and that why there is a difference in the clarity of the telepathic communications is also a puzzle. But it might explain why there are these different senses. For example, if somebody is not out in space in a spacecraft seeing a huge comet coming toward them, and they're in their bed and they feel like something is coming at them, but they wake up, those are the two main areas of reality: real physical reality, that people find themselves being plucked up in a beam, going into a craft, from a car, from a pasture, whatever it is. That's sort of interactive reality. But others, it seems to come in telepathy and dreams. How do we humans tell it apart? And I think that has contributed to some of what you're asking about, Ian.
Yeah, we've got some more questions here. Sick of the BS in the chat this evening says, I've heard that 3I's predicted path is to slingshot around several of the planets in our solar system, including Earth. How can its path be predicted? Well, I think it's the current trajectory that takes it close to, it's gone past Jupiter. What's with Jupiter at the moment, when it comes past...
It has to come back.
And Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it goes toward Venus. So it's going toward the sun. And if this is a strategized spacecraft with hugely advanced intelligences, and they wanted to check out a solar system, seeing all the planets, this was a good route to be planning, because it's now, and that appears to be what people interpret the Elon Musk and other places when it said, we're afraid it will turn back. Now it's turned back. It's as if something that was out and seen out further in the solar system, when the next reports came, they were saying it's turning back. And maybe that's something unexpected, or maybe it's something that astronomers calculated and think, no, whatever is happening, it's going to be seeing more planets into Venus and to Earth and to Mars and to Jupiter. And that is the sign, as I understand it from some aerospace people, a trajectory, whether it's ours or somebody else's, any trajectory that seems to be getting several planets out of one trip may be a signal of vast intelligence planning to do that. And then is the question mark. Why would another intelligence or intelligences be here at this particular time on Earth in what is a travel path through our solar system, alerting us because we're advanced enough to be able to see what's happening even if we don't know who or why. And there's something about this period that the sleeping prophet, what was the sleeping prophet, Ian?
Edgar Cayce. Edgar Cayce. And it's called the sleeping prophet because his way of getting the predictions was to go into a sort of hypnotic type trance.
And Edgar Cayce, this is true, you can look this up and find it in Wikipedia or a lot of places. In one of his journals, he wrote long ago, it's 80 or 90 years ago, that in the year 2025, on September 29th, 2025, there would be an object that would come in the sky and that it was going to do damage on our planet. Or at least those are interpretations of what he wrote. How amazing, because that is provable, not having been written in his book or his journal before 70, 80 years ago. And that the date has been there in various places with people wondering, and now we're there. And look at what September seems to be possibly stacking up in terms of trying to stop nuclear war on the Earth, agitation in cities, and I guess you would say a mysterious comet that is coming through the solar system and is not going to stay out in the far reaches, but is going to come right in and loop back. What do you think, Ian?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much speculation about all of this in the chat at the moment. I want to get to some of the questions because the audience are eager to hear your point of view. Sarah Guest is in the chat tonight and says, Ian, please ask Linda if a remote viewer has viewed 3i Atlas.
It's
Do you know about any remote viewers looking at this?
Yeah, it's a very good question. If there are any remote viewers listening tonight, even if you are professionals for NSA, CIA, DIA, JSOC, whoever you might work for, you can still communicate and you can do it in a way that we will protect. It would be very interesting to hear from professional remote viewers to see what anybody might have picked up about this particular condition that we have now of what is happening with this object. I don't know if there's anybody in our chat tonight who might be a remote viewer and who might want to wade in on what you are experiencing or have experienced. So Ian, maybe you could ask if there is anybody who has done remote viewing. And if not, I think a couple of remote viewers that I know, that it would be interesting to see if they have remote viewed this 3i Atlas planet coming in and see what they say.
Yeah, well, let's see if anyone in the chat can help us with that, but we're eager to hear as well if anyone has any other sources from any remote viewers taking a look at this. I would have thought it was a pretty deserving target. Miss Tammy125 in the chat this evening says, does Linda think it is being pulled or controlled from something? I would like to know Linda's opinion on what it could be. I don't know if it's too early for you to speculate on what you personally think, Linda, but the audience are keen to find out.
I am seriously curious about all of the build up to and what I have learned so far. I think there is something, let's put it this way, something unexplained. We may learn more. It may turn out to be an interloper. Whatever it actually is, it's got a lot of serious eyes in our various NASA and the telescopes, and there's a lot of people looking at this. And I've always wondered what would happen if the way we get introduced to extraterrestrials would come in an invasion or some interloper that seemed to come through the solar system and be headed toward Earth as if this is the destination, and our government says they have no understanding of what's happening, that they've had no communication. Those are the kinds of scenarios that some of us used to talk about as a possibility of how it might finally unfold on the Earth, that we are not alone. There is all kinds of intelligence. And we are getting to a very sweet spot where, as a species, we have the ability to build craft that can go out into outer space. Others that are coming may be way more advanced and have the ability to manipulate time, manipulate light, and those would be the point-to-point travelers. And all of it is mixed up. All of it is happening simultaneously, would be my guess. But that some planets, Earth, a tremendous variety of life. And when Whitley Strieber a few months ago and I talked about why he is coming to consider the possibility that the animal mutilations that I studied for so long, and there's ongoing right now, I'm getting new cases from several places, is that Whitley either had telepathic information, I'm not precisely certain of his source, but it was that the subatomic level of the copper in the bloodstream of say a bovine was a different shape than taking blood from your arm and showing it to the ETs, that they would say, we can't survive on yours. We need a different copper. This is why we need to do the harvest of tissue and fluid and blood from animals. And the kicker, we've been doing it for millennia. That's one thing that ETs might be able to say face to face with us, since we are a species that was not in what we'll call whole Earth existence until 45,000 years ago, in the transition from Neanderthal and Denisovan and the others. So we are sort of a very recent life form. And that could be that there are life forms out there that maybe they get around to this solar system once every 5 billion years. Who knows? But there are so many pieces now that are beginning to open up, where I hear people who once upon a time said, Linda, why do you struggle so hard to prove something that just can't be true? We can't have ETs that have been in our solar system. It's like somebody's joke. No, it's not a joke. It is real. And that I have talked with people face to face, going back as far as 1999, who one had even worked side by side with a tall white. And that is another mystery. If the tall whites are as spiritual as they have been described to me as being, that they care about what happens to other life forms. And yet, if that were true, why wouldn't they have introduced us before World War II? Why wouldn't they stop the Holocaust wars? The contradictions.
Those are good questions.
Yeah, the contradiction It's almost like we're in a schizophrenic play. And we are the audience, and we're divided into groups in the audience watching a play about the schizophrenia that is like in your face when it comes to studying and investigating other intelligence on planet Earth, the moon, the Mars, out into the solar system and beyond. Why is there not a clear, consistent signal of care, conscientious care, for all life on our planet from an advanced race of extraterrestrial biological entities and their AI that would be and could be guiding teachers to us in a healthy way? Why doesn't it happen in an open, straightforward, agape, fellow being way? I would never, ever suspect that it was because there were no compassionate beings. That I don't think is true. I just think we're in a universe and we don't know enough about much of anything yet beyond struggling to understand one revelation after another that seems to keep coming from scientists and from military people. Yes, there are ETs. Yes, there are UFOs, real craft. Yes, they can move point to point. Yes, they can jump 55 light years in 5 seconds if they need to. That is a world that none of us are in. But maybe in another 50 years, we would be with their help. So why isn't it clear? Why are we having wars and things seem to be disintegrating? While there's clear stated evidence, and I'm hoping that these upcoming Senate or House or whatever congressional side, that they're going to stick with having more hearings and telling more truth like David Grush did, instead of sort of the coy, well, we have one document to show you this, and next year we'll show you two. It has a feeling of parsing things out. Why don't we go for a planet of truth? Go ahead, Ian.
Yeah, Linda Young says, could this new object approaching us be the blue Kachina from Hopi Prophecy? And this is something that, do you remember we featured Miriam Delicado, the abductee in this with Earthfiles, and she talks as well about the Hopi Prophecy of the blue star Kachina, the sign that signals the end of the current world and the beginning of a new one.
I only smile because I had picked that book up only about 2 months ago specifically to look up signs and statements about troubled times, because there is, without question, the Earth is really right now, humans, Homo sapien, it's very agitated. If no other word, we are agitated in so many directions in so many ways. And throughout the history, as you are pointing out so well, and even the books that go into the Anunnaki, that there have been civilizations of other life on this planet. They may be right now underground someplace that was behind the Hopi, that was behind various different, we call them native tribes, but they are beings with consciousness that is in sync with the universe as we are too. And the very fact that the Hopis and some of the Navajo have always pointed to this kind of area, time era, also as a time in which there would be agitation. I learned that speaking at a conference in Santa Fe about 7-8 years ago. And some of the discussions, the most fascinating discussions, were not about UFO craft specifically or extraterrestrials. It was the bigger view that the Hopi and the Navajo and the Utes and some of them have about events that will come, and that they will come in cycles They will come in waves. And whatever is happening, we are now at a time of great agitation on this planet that was sort of forecast by Edgar Cayce, too. And what is going to happen as we now get to September 29th, 2025? And it was Edgar Cayce who said that on that day, there would be an object that would appear in the Earth's sky, and that it might not be cool, or that what was going to follow might not be cool. Well, what is coming? Don't you have that sense of agitation and a sense of that question being important also, Ian?
Yes, and it would stand to reason that somebody like Edgar Cayce would see such a thing if such a thing was happening. Edgar Cayce, someone has remarked in the chat this evening, had an 80% success rate, and he was a very prolific prophet, and well known. So this is very important, very interesting to follow up these indications that something was happening. This Atlas 3I is the third interstellar object after Oumuamua and the other one, the Boris one,
yeah,
which seem to have traditional cometary trajectories, etc. But and Oumuamua was a bit unique in its own way as well. Now, these three have come within a relatively short period of time. I think it was 2017, wasn't it, when
up to now? That's right.
Appeared. Yeah. So does this mean, and this is another question, does this mean that we are suddenly seeing, and there could be more, that are more strange objects that we'll be following, and perhaps becoming even more strange, and becoming more exhibiting things that are in their own way perhaps revealing to us that these are things that we don't understand, but may have an intentional purpose?
Well, back in 2017, I did an interview with Avi Loeb, who was then director of astronomy at Harvard University. And he was saying to me and to others that he thought that Oumuamua was definitely some kind of a strategized craft that would be extraterrestrial, camouflaged as some kind of an asteroid. And he got so attacked for proposing what seemed to me extremely intelligent issues, raising a lot of questions and thoughts in my own mind. And we are now at 2025, and he is no longer at Harvard, but he has been one of the voices right from the beginning, followed by John Brandenburg and others. There was Dr. Avi Loeb. You cannot argue that for 10 years he was director of astronomy at Harvard University. He was. I did many fascinating interviews with him. And then he has a hypothesis about the strange coloring and rectangular shape of Oumuamua and how it went from a much slower speed up to 196,000 miles an hour. And it's supposed to be a comet made of ice. That doesn't compute. I don't care what day, what year, that doesn't compute. That something that would allegedly be made of ice would come in closer to our solar system and suddenly take off. It was coming in this way and then goes like this and increases its speed to 196,000 plus miles an hour. How does ice do that? And that's what Avi Loeb was asking, and John Brandenburg asking the same questions. And what this, to me, says, something is going on that is studying, investigating our solar system, ? And that maybe they have come and gone when we didn't have the instruments we have today, meaning the telescopes. And that we are at this breakthrough where we are seeing our universe constantly in ways we've never seen before. I will go to some of the websites, whether it's NASA or astronomy or whatever, and I can get lost absolutely in just totally overwhelmed by how much I don't know, how much I want to know, and how much we are seeing and studying. And the universe is evolving in our instrumentation study to the sentences that come from the Pentagon even. The universe is one large consciousness, and human brains and others are in frequency with that consciousness. But to what end? And maybe that's what's going to be coming next. Maybe we have been in this huge mystery since World War II, when William Mills Tompkins, who was in the Navy during the war, told me it was an extraterrestrial war fought through human bodies, and that's where Adolf Hitler's link to races and racial blood and all of it came from. That was a long time ago, and it doesn't seem, if there are extraterrestrials like tall whites who want to see us evolve and advance ourselves, it doesn't look to me like we're getting enough help, if that was the point. And if it is not the point, this is where the question hovers over all of us as we're contemplating the comets, asteroids that might be complete camouflage for craft. Out of all of the thousands of people I have talked to in the abduction syndrome, one of the most haunting questions that I have always heard, Linda, what if they are camouflage for something that wants to invade the Earth or take the Earth? And I'll throw it to you, Ian, after saying this much. If you go back in history to 45,000 years ago, and that's not very much of a 4.6 billion year old planet. But where we are now as entities, in which there were ETs manipulating DNA in already evolving primates millions of years ago in this solar system, it has always said to me and hangs in my head with every interview I've ever done with an abductee. If we have had full-scale extraterrestrials that can jump dimensions, can jump 55 light years by manipulating time, why do they keep coming to this solar system? Why do they keep manipulating genetic material? Why do they keep making humanoids and stay behind the shadows? It has always made me nervous, because even though there have been descriptions that eventually extraterrestrial biological entities that have compassion we will finally meet, so far I would not say that compassion was front and center in the abduction literature. And we are smart, loving intelligences and entities that always seem to be driven into war. And you put all of this on a chessboard and say, what is the reason for the disconnects when you would think by now this whole planet would have been either visited or introduced by non-humans of all ilk? Instead, we are always suppressed. Whether the governments always feel they can't handle the truth out in an uneducated population, that's a simple reply. It still doesn't make sense. If there are spiritual, loving, compassionate beings that want to see us on Earth, see each other as a fellow being, to resonate with in frequencies, not kill, not fight, why doesn't that happen? Why are we not a planet where life is what is encouraged, not killing and eating life? It really bothers me. Okay, Ian, I'm going to throw the ball to you.
We seem to have an answer here in the chat this evening from Miracle Hands, who says there is an amazing YouTube influencer, remote viewer, who has talked about Three Eye Atlas a week ago, Elizabeth April. I was at Elizabeth April's table in a convention in Las Vegas a couple of years ago. She said it does have ET intelligences. They told her that they are only passing through, and she's getting further data. So we have had at least one person say that's been a view of this.
But there have been, hundreds of thousands for a very long time. And people like Chris Hardy, who has written the brilliant book on the Anunnaki, and basically says the Anunnaki came here in great numbers and built and all sorts of things and subjugated humans to who knows. But that there have been other civilizations who have been here, the Egyptians. Why are humans sort of left out of the introduction? It's puzzling. Are we only considered to be a harvest of sperm, eggs, who knows, for genetic manipulation? Is that what we are fundamentally? And why would that be if that were the truth? I'm not saying it is, but that is one of the options. So when would we ever be introduced to advanced intelligent beings if they look at us as just a supply planet for genetic material, for genetic manipulation? And you have to be hard-headed and say that is one of the possibilities. But I don't think that there would have been the thought that dwells in the light working through humans for thousands of years in some of the most incredible, compassionate ways, and that the one of the cross may have been one of the most generous energies trying to help Earth humans? Question mark. It's all so complicated, and yet at the same time, I cannot imagine wanting to know more about, study about, get in a craft that can manipulate time, take me out for 45 light years, 100 light years. I just can't imagine wanting to do anything that would be more exciting than that, even if we don't know what all the motives are. Go ahead, Ian.
On the question of compassionate extraterrestrials, Chris in the chat, first of all, half jokingly said, is Atlas 3i Atlas taking passengers? Chris George Alexander says, if they've come with a city-sized mothership to save us, are we ready to be rescued? Do we even want to be rescued? And Speculations podcast says, I wonder if it's headed towards Mars. Are they planning on terraforming the planet and placing the hybrids there? And one of the facts is that we have to accept is that the ETs may have a rescue for some of humanity. They may have the genetic material they need, and that there is no way that they're going to save all 8 billion of us on a planet if we're faced with certain destruction.
And isn't the asteroid estimated to be, was it 15 miles in diameter at its widest, I believe? This current.
Yeah, but that's... the other thing is, just before we came on air tonight, Dennis Danlow sent me a link, and I've been following it, and several people in the chat have picked up on this as well, is that it's actually having some coma plasma ball that is half the size of the sun. This is a huge object that's coming towards us.
Wait, Ian, paint us a word picture. Are you saying that they have seen something through a telescope that looks like a plasma ball?
That's right. This is what
when was this report?
Dennis Stanbell, I started watching it before we went live this evening, and it's been referenced a couple of times in the chat that they say they call it a coma, which is half the size of the sun.
And this has been reported in just the last 24 hours.
Yeah, it's in your inbox.
Well, I've been editing. Well, yeah, I want to know more.
Breaking news. It seems every day is bringing us a bit more information on this, and this is right in front of us. I think it's wise to say Yin Yang Glow might have it here as well, where she says, remember, 3 things cannot be hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth.
I live by that. I have it plastered around where I sleep, and I love that. It is so true. But I really do feel that there is something to the human soul that is unexpected. I've felt this my whole life. And that the drama, the cross story, may have been the effort on the part of an advanced intelligence to try to change the relationship between these new body souls and older frequencies. And that maybe something has gone awry. That the thought that dwells in the light, the frequencies of love and compassion that you would think would always prevail, the yin and the yang fighting each other. It is, to me, the bigger mystery than who are all the different ETs, is why aren't we humans more loving to each other? Because it seems like we were made for a reason that has to do with soul evolution and development. I think so. I mean, I've run into people in the abduction syndrome who say, Linda, the problem on Earth is we were supposed to have souls that would evolve and join up with the large consciousness, and we were not supposed to be in wars and violence. So what happened?
Well, we got an update from Eric. Actually says he's actually found this video. He's the video that you referenced about Elon Musk.
Oh, Eric in Canada has found it?
It's actually he refers to it as being a fake and says that the show notes on the video say that it uses altered or synthetic content.
Well, see, I only saw it for a few minutes and it just bounced away. So I never saw credits. I never saw anything. It was just Elon Musk talking in a great, serious, sober tone about the fall of 2025.
I have a screenshot and a link to it now. So
okay, yeah. See if Brad can put it up.
Synthetic content.
Yeah. Well, whatever it was very, very, very smooth and sharp. But why? Can you ask Eric? Why did somebody fake this, if they did, of Elon Musk talking in what seemed like to be such the part I saw, of his serious concern about what was coming in the fall of 2025?
Well, that is one of the notes here, that the critique is that Elon's speaking is too perfect in this, whereas Elon does tend to speak in more of a broken up starts and stutters sometimes in things. This is very clear, and again, it was a tell that it was probably AI produced, and also the notes make that clear now.
Well, it may be. It may be, but I'm an innocent user who just was clicking a subject having to do with the, we'll call it the perhaps non-comet visitor. And it just came on, and I probably saw 15 minutes, but it was like great alarm. There would have been no way anybody could judge it. But it was like, why? What would be the reason now that you're learning of why would this have been done by people even faking? What did they do it for?
I don't know. We can speculate forever on people's motives for this sort of thing. There's a lot of confusion out there, a lot of deception. We have to be very discerning in what we do. So, and where we get our sources from. So it's good that we can check these things and check it with our fantastic audience and our technical team here as well.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Is there one more question that we could take tonight before we transition?
Okay, well, let's have a look. You've already addressed the situation of the cattle mutilations. Someone said that the cattle mutilations are still occurring regularly, and we are aware of one in Utah in July that came up, has been surfaced today, that there has been reports of this one in July taking place in Utah. So that was the main thing. I want to acknowledge our super chats before we go as well.
Yeah.
Thank you to the R. Elizabeth, Lovely Lisa, Mike Basil, Yin Yang Glow, Fernando from Brazil, Renee Martin, Rob Dustin, FUQUAD, and Jason as well. I think it's the one from Brazil who has the question really relating to humanity. Greetings from Brazil. It's Fernando Menezes. Do you think USA's nuclear disarmament plan is linked to any alien deals? And what about the recent meeting with Putin? Do you think that there is any alien or ET influence in any of this?
I have no knowledge, but I wondered the same exact question as I watched. And I would not be surprised if we learned eventually that Trump and Putin have talked with each other in the one or two times they have been sort of by themselves a bit. Have they talked truth about what they know of the various extraterrestrials interacting with the Earth? I know it's been suggested to me that among many of those files that he put in the bathroom or bathrooms at Mar-a-Lago, that Trump knows about ETs, knows about a lot. And if he does, it's the one subject that he has never really much brought up. And what does that mean if, in fact, he has been given various briefings back during his first time as president? And that was the time when allegedly he was supposed to be asking for information, and they were allegedly getting files for him about UFOs, ETs, and all. So maybe he reached some sort of a wall where maybe he's still studying, but he doesn't want to open it up yet. And why is it that political leaders don't want to open up the truth about the fact that we are not alone in this universe? It's teeming with consciousness. And we humans on planet Earth, we deserve to know the truth about fellow beings, wherever they are. And why have we been left out of the social equations? It's a puzzle. It still is a puzzle. So on that note, dear Ian, Brad, Eric, Chocolate, Fluffy, everybody, at least here in this space, we can agape hug and wish each other the very best for your souls from now to the end of time.
Turn on closed captions for YouTube videos by clicking the white CC button on the lower right. The default language for Linda's videos is English. If you would like to see the captions in another language, click on the white settings button next to the CC button. Select Subtitles CC
to get a comb.
and then
And I
select
love
Auto
them
Translate.
almost running, and I don't have to put them in
Select a
place
language,
or, bind them anywhere. They love
and the
to
captions
have
will now
their
appear
hair
in that language.
sort of gone through, and they will hold their heads. I never had a cat do that before. And they'll pull against the comb, helping me get out snarls. And I think it's the best they've ever been.